Hi, welcome to BNEWS Special Report Oscar Preview. I'm Phil Gallagher along with my guest and our resident entertainment reporter, Chris Flaherty.
How are you, Phil?
Quinnipiac grad?
Quinnipiac
Yeah,
grad, yep.
film studies or some other exotic title.
Film, video, interactive media. Yeah, the long thing that they had to like shrink it to get it.
Shrink it to get it on your resume, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, the Oscars are coming up.
Right.
It's kind of a condensed period this year between the Golden Globes, SAG, Screen Actors Guild of SAG, right? What's the other one?
The British Academy Awards.
BAFTA, that's next week.
The Critics'
right?
Choice Awards.
Critics' Choice, that's what I was thinking.
The Annie Awards, which are like the Oscars for the animated films. But yeah, this is the shortest award season in a long time.
Well, could it be that nobody's watching these award shows?
Well, I reading like Hollywood Reporter and tabloids, like apparently this was sort of like an inside mode, like an inside thing in the Academy to like incentivize voting members to like get out there and watch your movies. Don't wait till the last minute.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been like a ripple effect, like a tidal wave coming back. Like the Oscars gets pushed back, so everything else is getting pushed back.
All right, what's your research tell you about viewership? Ticket sales are down quite dramatically?
I think, well, Netflix it's got a big presence here this year. I think the biggest it's ever had. It topped all the other studios with 24 nominations across like 4 or 5 films, and that's only rivaled by Disney with just 23 nominations. But Netflix, I think after a lot of the old guard was sort of against video on demand and streaming, it's pushing back. And now, as you can see, we've got 2 out of the 9 Best Picture nominees made their debut on Netflix.
Well, it's more like shoveling manure against the tide, isn't it? That, the viewers certainly are going to Netflix. I mean,
Right.
I didn't even turn on a network anymore. I just turn on Netflix to see what I haven't seen.
Oh, right. I mean, it's the whole
Thousands.
streaming wars. I mean, everybody has their own streaming service now. Netflix, Disney Plus,
yeah.
Hulu,
Amazon.
Amazon,
IMDb, even they give you
IMDb,
free
yep.
ones. Yeah.
NBC will have their own one.
CBS already has one.
Yeah, everybody's like.
Yeah.
But it's funny because if you want to watch everything, you have to get all these streaming services, and eventually all these membership prices will equal up to what I think is a cable subscription.
Overall. But won't they have a situation where they'll offer all their stuff to other streaming services if they get a cut out of it?
I believe so. I mean, Disney Plus is already like offering a package like where you can get Disney Plus and Hulu Plus and ESPN Plus. I know some Comcast users can get a Netflix account with their package. Apparently, if you are a Comcast user, you can have access to NBC's streaming service. So yeah, there's definitely some overlap coming.
And then you've got NHL, baseball,
Exactly.
NFL, NBA, all of these various streaming services. So it's hard to imagine that somebody, I'm sure there's somebody out there who's going to be able to afford all of them.
Oh, sure. It's not me. But
Yeah. Well, the other thing is affording the time. Who's got time to be sitting like a couch potato all day long watching the offerings that are just immense?
well, that's true. And then conversely, like it's so much cheaper to just stay at home and see what's on Netflix than go to the movie theater.
Exactly.
I mean, you think like travel time, then you gotta like pay $14 to $13 for a ticket, and then
$8 for a giant
$8 for a popcorn or something, and then
covered
like,
with some sort of trans fat oil.
yeah. So eventually, like you've racked up a pretty nice bill just to see one movie, and then like you think like, well, I got to see it again. Or like, okay, well, you're going to go through the whole thing again or just wait till it's on DVD.
But now you can go and drink at the movies, too. So
Exactly. Well, that's going to rack up your bill pretty high, I think.
In our infinite wisdom, somehow, we managed to figure out that you need a cocktail to watch a movie.
Well, I mean, my thing is, like, I don't want to drink during a movie. I want to remember it.
Exactly. All right, well, let's kick it off by just giving us some thoughts on last year's awards.
Well, last year, the big controversy was no host after, the typical scenario where the host, Kevin Hart, was announced, and then some trolls on the internet pulled up some old offensive tweets, and then the Academy was like, hey, can you just publicly apologize for this and we'll let you host again? Kevin Hart's like, I've apologized for this over and over again, and so he got the boot. And then for a while, like, we didn't hear anything about a replacement, and so eventually they're just like, we're going to go with no host.
Yeah. Well, wasn't the offensive tweet that he said that if he thought his son was gay, he'd break his dollhouse over his head?
Something like that.
Which Dave Chappelle said, look, I know Kevin Hart. I mean, there is an offensive bone in his body.
I know, he seems like a very nice guy. I mean, Ellen advocated for him.
Sure,
So,
sure.
But I guess he was too prideful, and he went on record saying like, "This is like the biggest job that I ever wanted," and I guess he didn't want it that bad because he stood by his principles, which I respect. But it's interesting because at least what I thought for a long time that like hosting the Oscars was like the most coveted job you could have.
Well, if you're Billy Crystal,
Well,
yeah.
But now it's like, I don't want to touch that
Right.
because now it's like Hollywood's most thankless job.
Wow. Well, there may never be a host of any of these award shows after Ricky Gervais roasted them over the coals.
Oh my God.
That was the funniest part of the whole show.
You see that picture of Tom Hanks reacting to? Yeah, I think that says it all.
Yeah. Well, I thought one of his greatest lines was, people don't really care what you think. Many of the people in this room have less schooling than Greta Thunberg.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
I don't know. And then Robert De Niro, who we'll talk about later, I'm sure, he received a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Screen Actors Guild Awards. And he said, like, if I have something to say, like, my opinion matters as much as, like, a doctor, a veterinarian, or a student. And, like, if I have a platform to speak my opinion, I will do it. And then, obviously,
Oh, yeah, that's wonderful, except last year he had vulgarities for Trump. He's there to honor his peers at the highest level of their achievement.
This was at the Tony Awards,
The
right?
Tony, yeah. At the highest level of their achievement, and he's got to go off on a rant. So I thought that was quite inappropriate when you.
Was it a rant?
that.
I thought he just dropped the F-bomb.
Well, that's a rant.
Either way, it was kind of irrelevant to the award he had to
Exactly,
present. So,
precisely.
yeah.
All right, so what else was, one of the things is they changed the Academy last year to include more diversity.
Yes.
And yet this year, I think 19 out of the 20 nominations are all white guys or white girls.
Yeah,
right?
there's only one woman, or one actor of color nominated between the 4 acting categories. That's Cynthia Erivo for the Harriet Tubman biopic. This is like an issue that just keeps coming back and forth. I mean, I remember 2015, it was a huge deal. And then in 2016, there was like a major upheaval. There's a lot more diversity in the categories and stuff. And, they just can't seem to stick to their guns. And so this just keeps happening.
Yeah, well, apparently if it's a more diverse group and they come up with a particular selection, then you would think maybe they based it on merit.
Right. And then, like you said, like when the ripple of the tide effect pushing the Oscars back, incentivizing people to get their movies and see them faster.
This is the shortest
season, yeah, and the earliest the Oscars has ever been. Like, it used to be in like March, May, but this is the earliest it's ever been, like first weekend in February.
Okay, so what points do we want to make? We want to start with Best Animated Film.
Best Animated Film, let's get the fun one out of the way. We have our nominees, How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World. Robert, if you could throw up the big full page so we can see those nice posters. So How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World, the third film in that franchise from DreamWorks. I Lost My Body, a foreign film from Netflix. Klaus, another animated film from Netflix. Missing Link from Lakia, a stop motion film. And Toy Story 4 from Pixar Studios.
Okay, and who got the awards here? Did any of these receive Golden Globes?
Missing Link shocked, I say shocked lightly, shocked the community winning the Golden Globe because everybody thought, like, from the beginning of the year, it was like, okay, so it's going to be Frozen 2 versus Toy Story 4 versus How to Train Your Dragon 3, DreamWorks versus Pixar versus Disney all year long. And that's what I thought, too. And then when when Missing Link took it away from all of them at the Golden Globes, people are like, whoa. And it was funny because the director who accepted the award, he's like, I'm a little shocked, to be honest with you. And like everybody's like, yeah, us too, pal.
Us too.
And then like it got even more shocking when Frozen 2 got knocked out completely for the Oscars.
Right.
So
the best animated. Well, isn't there some merit to the criticism that, how on earth can these be the best films out of all that are made when we're talking about Toy Story 4 and Frozen 2 and what's the other one that's on there? That's number 3.
How to Train Your Dragon.
How to Train Your Dragon.
I mean,
how many times can you train a dragon?
3 times. I really liked a lot of the films that I have seen in this category, but I'm with you. Like, if you look back at the history of this category, there's some stinkers in it that shouldn't be called Academy Award nominee. But I think, this is a pretty decent pack. I mean, Toy Story 4, it's probably the worst Toy Story. But saying you're the worst Toy Story film is almost like saying you're the worst Beatle.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not that bad.
Is Tom Hanks still playing the cowboy?
Tom Hanks is still playing Woody and stuff. So, and Toy Story 4 won the Critics' Choice Award. It won the Producers Guild Award. So it's pretty much the front runner, I think. The PGA has predicted this winner since 2014. Klaus, the animated film, the first animated film from Netflix, it's like an origin story for Santa Claus. It's traditionally hand-drawn.
Right.
Very nice film, very beautiful film. It swept the Annie Awards this weekend. It won Best Animated Feature and won 6 other trophies. So there's a lot of love for Klaus in the animated community. So I think if Bob Iger's iron grip isn't as tight as I think it is, Klaus might steal the award from Toy Story.
Right. Okay, let's go to Best Supporting Actress, and this is a pretty good roster.
This is a very strong category.
Very strong category with a lot of potential winners in here.
Yeah.
Have we got that up?
It's up. There we go.
Oh, there we go. Okay, read them off. Kathy Bates.
Kathy Bates from Richard Jewell. Laura Dern from Marriage Story. Scarlett Johansson, this is her first nomination, 2 nominations this year, for Jojo Rabbit. Florence Pugh, I don't think I said that right.
Yeah, that's
for
correct.
Little Women, and Margot Robbie for Bombshell. So Scarlett and Florence are 2 first-timers. Margot, this is her second after playing Tonya Harding 2 years ago. Kathy Bates, Laura Dern, they've been in this category before.
Right. Yeah, 2 or 3 times. I think Kathy Bates has got doesn't she have a win?
She won in 1991 for the Stephen King film Misery.
Misery,
Remember that one?
yeah. I'm your favorite fan. Is that one?
Yep.
She breaks his ankles with the sledgehammer. Oh, a beautiful video there. Yeah, beautiful cinema there.
I know. This is the 4th nomination for her, and for Laura Dern, it's her 3rd. Laura Dern's been cleaning up this year. She won the Golden Globe, she won the Critics' Choice, she won the Screen Actors Guild. The Marriage Story, if you don't know, it's a story about a couple who are going through a divorce, and they're trying to stay friends, they're trying to stay amicable, but it's very hard, and eventually it comes over to a boiling point. But it's a love story about divorce in a way, because you see by the end of the film that there's still love between them. I've heard a lot of comparisons to Kramer versus Kramer.
Right. Well, it's children and money are generally the 2 biggest
Yes, and they do
issues,
have a son, and the son like really irked me in this movie because like I know he's a child, but he's definitely playing the game. But she's her attorney, and she's Scarlett Johansson's attorney in the film, and she's got a lot of great moments, and I don't want to annoy.
No spoiler alert.
Well, I don't want to like irritate any attorneys that might be watching. But as someone who worked closely with attorneys for many years, to see this character who is very sweet and very loving and very nurturing, and then she goes on the record and it's like she's come to play, I'm like, that's a lawyer right there. So she's got my vote.
Okay, so let's go to Best Supporting Actor.
Yep.
This, again, is a very, very strong
category. We have Tom Hanks from A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood playing Mr. Rogers. His 6th nomination. He's won twice before. Anthony Hopkins from The Two Popes. His 5th nomination. He won in 1992 for Silence of the Lambs. Al Pacino as Jimmy Hoffa in The Irishman. His 5th nomination, his 9th nomination, and he won in 1993 for Scent of a Woman. Joe Pesci, again from The Irishman, his 3rd nomination, he won in Goodfellas. And Mr. Brad Pitt, his 4th nomination in the acting category, his 7th nomination overall, and he is in for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Quentin Tarantino film.
Well, Joe Pesci keeps getting nominated for exactly the same character, right?
Oh, it's true. It's true.
Goodfellas, Casino, all Scorsese films too, right?
There's some subtlety to the character of Russell Buffalino, I think. I mean, he's not like grabbing anyone by the head and smashing them against the bar in this film. Right. But I liked him. He wasn't the standout performance for me in that film. That was definitely Al Pacino as Jimmy Hoffa.
As Jimmy Hoffa.
What a firecracker.
Yeah.
Screaming and yelling and pointing at everybody. I mean, he's a guy, like, you're annoyed with him, but you love watching him go on the rampage. And then obviously, it's a true story, so I don't think it's spoiled. You feel pretty sad by the end of it.
Well, you're too young to remember Jimmy, but that was a pretty good depiction of what Hoffa's personality was.
All I remember was he was this guy that disappeared and no one knew what happened to
Right,
him.
right.
And then like I'm watching the film halfway through, I'm like, wait, didn't this guy disappear? How do they know what happened to him?
Yeah.
So I did a little research and stuff.
Well, remember, he was the leader of the roughest crowd
Oh yeah,
in
those Teamsters.
organized labor in those days.
Yes,
the
exactly.
Teamsters.
Um,
What do you think overall on the Irishman, the de-aging and aging, and how do you make us almost De Niro's almost 80 years old, or how do you make him look young?
he looked like young De Niro. It was crazy. I mean, like, and I didn't even realize that. I haven't looked at Al Pacino in a while, but I guess every frame he was in, he was de-aged.
Yeah.
And Joe Pesci, like when they de-aged him, I thought
Harvey
that was
Keitel was another one.
Harvey
great,
Keitel.
Great cast.
Yep.
Ray Romano.
Ray Romano. The comedian Sebastian Maniscalco. He's from like Somerville, Medford, I think.
Yeah.
He was Crazy Joe, the guy who was like almost picked a fight with Don Rickles in the comedy club. It was a great cast. I mean, I think The Irishman is like peak Scorsese. Like, I think that's his thing, the gangster, the brotherhood and stuff. What elevated it for me was, like, the ending stuff when he's, like, the old man and, like, everything's sort of, like, everybody's gone and, like, who are you protecting?
Right,
It's like,
right.
But it's a nice story about mortality and stuff. And to see, like, from beginning to end, this man who started with nothing, then got everything, and then at the end, obviously, he's not taking anything with him. He's alone. So
Anna Paquin had a nice part, too.
she did, yeah. That was, like, the gut punch right at the end with his daughter.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so who are your picks there? It probably looks like Brad Pitt might win this one.
I think Brad Pitt's got this one. He got the Golden Globe. He got the Critics' Choice. He's got the Screen Actors Guild. Who doesn't like Brad Pitt?
Well, exactly.
He's cool,
Who
and
doesn't
like
him?
he's definitely a highlight of that film.
Yeah.
Like he played. We talked about this in the summer preview, but Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is about this actor who's kind of going through a rough part in his career. He's played by Leonardo DiCaprio. And Brad Pitt is his like stuntman / best friend, and so like Leo's just trying to navigate Hollywood in the end of the '60s because he's trying to save his career because he's going down. He's a has-been, and like Brad Pitt's just going around doing his thing, trying to keep his career going because he's a stuntman. So stuntmen aren't the most popular people in Hollywood, and as all this is going on, the whole Sharon Tate, Charlie Manson thing's going on behind the scene, and like not to spoil it, but eventually the two cross paths.
How they do that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, now we're in the Best Actor category, and
Yep.
again, a pretty strong
Yeah.
array of actors here.
Yeah, I mean,
And films, by the way, I might add.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's even there's a couple of Netflix films in here. There's some theatrical releases. There's some foreign films, but we have Antonio Banderas from Pain and Glory, again Leonardo DiCaprio for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Adam Driver for Marriage Story, Joaquin Phoenix for Joker, and Jonathan Pryce for The Two Popes, another film from Netflix. A lot of repeat attendees.
Nominees, sure.
Yeah, nominees.
Sure.
Leo, this is his 6th acting nomination.
He's got to win, too, doesn't he, for, did he win for Titanic?
The Revenant.
The Revenant.
Yeah,
yeah,
the one where
exactly.
like he gets betrayed and like attacked by the bear. And
Right,
right.
right.
Great movie. Not something I could watch over and over again, but
Exactly.
it's a really nice film, and clearly he won that Oscar. I think again, this is clearly it's Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker. Joker, like it's an origin story for the Batman villain Joker, but it's set in a world before Batman, and so this young man Arthur Fleck, he's a loner, he's a recluse, he's kind of got like he's going through some mental illness, I believe. It's been a while since I've seen it, but he wants to become a comedian. Robert De Niro was also in this one, and he's sort of like doing a king of comedy type character. He's got the late night show and stuff, and so Arthur like idolizes him and stuff. So it's just sort of about how life beats down on this guy and how after like a couple bad days, eventually he snaps and becomes the Joker. And I mean, Joaquin, like he sells it like it's a scary performance, it's a sympathetic performance. It's definitely like it's a character study with Batman elements sprinkled in, like
Not a sequel, not a
Yeah.
Batman #6.
right. It's just a little standalone character study that just happens to feature a guy named Joker and a guy named Bruce Wayne, or a kid named Bruce Wayne. But it's clearly there was a lot of controversy with people because they were worried it was going to like promote violence and mass gang
Oh,
shootings.
since
and
when
stuff.
is Hollywood worried about that?
I don't know. And then, but then the controversy just blew over. I mean, I saw it and I was like, I can see where some people were coming from, but it's not that bad. I mean, because by the end of it, you understand that this guy isn't right in the head.
Right.
And I think what resonated with a lot of people was like, this is the first time like the Joker feels like someone that could exist in the real world, because he's not like someone who fell into a vat of chemicals and went insane. This is a guy who was just a normal person who got beat down a little too much.
Well, we've seen it so many times.
Exactly, and I think
history.
that's
mean,
where it came
The
from.
Vegas shooter and any number of
Yeah.
other shooters that have just have gone over the edge.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to mention Jewel. I didn't see that in any other of the nominees other
Yeah.
than Kathy Bates, and that was a kind of a controversial film with
Right.
Eastwood, right?
Yeah, Clint Eastwood. It was about the security guard Richard Jewell, who he was a security guard who found the bomb at the 1996 Olympics.
Then falsely accused.
Yes, because
Getting
like the
involved.
media sort of twisted it on him and stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Reviews were like soft on it. I think there was a lot of push for Paul Walter Hauser, the guy who played Richard Jewell, to win an Oscar. Things you might remember him from is like I, Tonya. He's up and coming. But yeah, Clint Eastwood just can't get back into the Oscar game. I don't know why.
Well,
And it might be too late.
yeah, well, his films are great.
His films are great.
I see all his films.
Gran Torino is one of my favorite films.
I just watched The Trouble with the Curve the other night with Amy Adams, who's one of my all-time
She's great.
favorites. She's unbelievable. But that was just a great film.
It was. It was a
You know?
beautiful
Great
film.
story.
Yeah, so.
So Rami Malek won last year, Bohemian Rhapsody. That was pretty much a
Yeah. I
even
mean,
though he lip synced, but who could do Freddie's work anyway?
no one can do Freddie Mercury's work. But I thought like the acting wise was fine, but the overall film was so. And if you remember, like the director, like he was fired halfway through production because he was not showing up, or when he did show up, he was drunk and violent, and then like there was some controversy about him possibly, harassing young men. So the director of photography stood up and he finished the film. But so I mean, the end result is okay.
All right, so we're pretty much in agreement that who's Adam Driver now? He's playing the male lead in Marriage Story.
Yes, he's the husband to Scarlett Johansson. If Joaquin Phoenix wasn't in this category, I would say give it to him, because I think what Marriage Story does really nice is it's a movie about divorce, but neither the husband or the wife are in the wrong. Like there's no villain. I would say the villain is the system they have to go through to get divorced, not the lawyers themselves, just the system. But it's nice because like you see both sides, you feel bad for both of them. Not one isn't wrong, one isn't right. They've both made mistakes that they have to admit.
Well, the relationships can fall apart. you
Yeah,
know?
and he has some really, really powerful scenes.
Poignant moments.
Yeah, it's circulating all over YouTube now, but the moment where things finally boil over and the two of them have a very heated argument, it's some of the best acting like I think that's come out of Hollywood the past year. And he really sells it. It's crazy. Like you feel uncomfortable watching it. You feel like the kids in the room and watching his parents getting into an argument.
All right, let's move on to Best Actress. So Joaquin Phoenix is your guess.
Joaquin
Yeah,
Phoenix
absolutely.
running away with the award, and he'll be the second actor to win an award for playing the Joker after the late Heath Ledger.
Yeah, right.
So,
right. He
play
did a
the
great
Joker,
job,
get an
too.
Oscar. Yeah.
Right. All right, Best Actress.
Cynthia Erivo for Harriet, playing Harriet Tubman.
Tubman. Yeah.
Again, Scarlett Johansson for Marriage Story, Saoirse Ronan from Little Women, Charlize Theron as Megan Kelly in Bombshell, and Renee Zellweger as Judy Garland in the film Judy. So
Pretty strong group there.
yeah, again, Scarlett Johansson, 2 nominations this year. I worried being in both categories might cancel her out of both entirely. And plus, I think she's definitely got her critics. She's taken on controversy for taking on certain roles. Like she played an Asian woman in an action film once, or she was supposed to play a woman that was supposedly Asian. She was going to play a transgender man or transgender woman in another film, and obviously controversy broke. And
Oh my God, what heresy! Yeah,
I know, and she went on record.
An
She's
actor
like,
playing a role.
no, I mean I'm with you on that. Like I feel like the job should go to the most qualified or the most talented actor, like any job. But I
Well, the
understand.
job should go to the person who's going to make money for the film. I mean,
Yeah.
somebody's putting $100 million in these things, so you cast them by virtue of who's going to add to that.
Right.
It makes perfect sense to me as a capitalist, but
Yeah, I
maybe
mean,
I'm wrong.
we've talked about lack of diversity in Hollywood and stuff, but I think like if you're the most talented person, like if you're the filmmaker and you see your character in this person, that you should go with your gut and hire them.
So Zellweger's in there as Judy.
Yeah.
She's garnered a couple of awards already.
Clearly the front runner this year. Golden Globe, Critics' Choice, Screen Actors Guild. I think the story of Judy Garland is a story that resonates in Hollywood to this very day.
Sure.
Yeah, obviously, a very young actress who blossomed very early and then got victim to drugs and alcohol.
Yeah,
and
well,
stuff.
and suffered through all of the various things that can happen there.
Yeah.
We talk about Harvey Weinstein and a few other things going on.
Sure.
So she had a long career. I mean,
She did.
she was still performing with the Rat Pack on various specials up almost into her. What year did she die? Well, let's not go back there
Yeah.
because it would take me forever to remember.
Yeah.
But she was performing along into her washed up days. Let's
Yeah,
use
she
that
she
phrase.
worked to the bone.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
that's a better.
yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see this one. I didn't. Normally, if like you're the only nomination from your film, you're not going to get it. But Renee Zellweger is proving the industry wrong. And I didn't. I thought the Golden Globe win might have been a fluke because she had a very interesting speech that night. It was almost kind of like bitter. Well, she's like, "Oh, nice to be invited back," and like she hadn't been nominated for anything in a while or hadn't been working for a while. But like the Screen Actors Guild speech was a lot nicer, and so I think she's got her supporters. Again, I wish I saw it. I haven't seen it yet. I've seen Marriage Story. I saw Little Women. I don't think I'm the target demographic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's limited in scope, and I mean the story is 100 years old, 150
Right.
years, whatever number.
And this is the 7th remake of this
Yeah,
film.
exactly.
So, and I'm not worried about Saoirse Ronan getting her Oscar. It's her 4th nomination. She is the 2nd youngest 4-time Oscar nominee in history.
Really?
Yeah, Jennifer Lawrence beats her by like months at age 25.
Yeah. Well, Jennifer Lawrence shows up nowhere. Did she work much this year?
She's been kind of quiet lately. I think she got lost in that failed X-Men franchise. And so I think the stench of that needs to wash off before
Well,
she
she
makes
did
another comeback.
she was in with Liam Hemsworth in that
Hunger Games.
Well, no, the sci-fi film, the Traveler film with
Oh,
the two.
With Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt, not him,
Passengers.
Chris. Passenger.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really good film.
Yeah, I mean, she's a very talented actress, and I think she can turn, straw into gold with whatever material she has, but
Might be pricing herself out of the market.
she
at
might
these
be.
points, though, huh?
Yeah, I mean, there was talk about how on, like, the X-Men films, like, she complained about, like, how much long, because she's playing, like, a blue mutant, so
right.
she got,
How long it's
so
made up.
and it's funny, like, someone, like, posted a picture of how, like, the blue just gets lighter and lighter across each film.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we found a way to make it,
Faster.
take less time. Yeah.
Right.
It's just like, all right, you're done. Go out there.
Okay, so again, your prediction here is who?
I think, money's on Renee Zellweger. I think Charlize Theron would be a nice, second placer. Bombshell is about the whole Fox News scandal.
Right.
She plays Megyn Kelly. I thought it was Megyn Kelly.
Looked just like her.
Looked just like her, sounded just like her. It was incredible.
And she's working all the time. It seems.
She's had a very big career resurgence the past couple of years,
No
and
question.
rightfully so. She's a very talented actress.
When she played the Mad Max film, automatically,
Oh,
get
yeah.
a lot of exposure.
When you do a
there,
big
right?
action film, obviously your name gets out there.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go to Best Director, and this is an interesting category because we have a foreign film in here.
Yes.
Go ahead. Who's in there?
Bong Joon-ho for Parasite, Sam Mendes for 1917, Todd Phillips for Joker, Martin Scorsese for The Irishman, and Quentin Tarantino for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Okay, so this is strong and surprising. 1917, I guess, is quite a film, and
It
it's
is a
got
very nice film.
nominations.
Yeah.
You've seen that one.
Yeah.
So tell us about Bong Joon-ho.
I'll try.
This is a film in subtitles, right? I went
Yeah,
to
the
rent.
film with subtitles.
I
Yeah.
went to look at it the other night on Netflix, and it was a $6.99 or Amazon Prime. You had it for rental.
I have
so
not seen. That's one I have not seen
I'll
yet.
wait for it for free.
Yeah, and apparently they're gonna turn it into a TV show now too. Apparently.
Really?
Yeah, but I'm paraphrasing. I guess it's about social classes and stuff, and someone from the middle class family gets hired to work for the upper class family, and then sort of it's like, not like a spy movie, but they're trying to infiltrate and destroy the upper class family, like a parasite.
Like Meghan Markle.
Yeah. Well,
let's not use that particular word in that
Yes.
case, but let's just say it's surprising at the impact she's had on the royal
oh
family.
my God, yeah, stepping down from. But I understand, not to get off track. I understand with Prince Harry.
Yeah.
I understand because his mother Diana went through all that stuff. so-
Sure. Who wants that kind of constant exposure?
Right.
All right, so what do you think in here?
I'm gonna go with my gut and say, just based on the past couple of years, the best directing category usually goes to a film that has a very unique visual component or a unique visual style. Like if you look at Damien Chazelle with La La Land, like he revitalized like the stage. Musical.
The musical dance routine.
Yeah, the music dance routine, all
numbers,
the like tracking shots and stuff. The Shape of Water, Guillermo del Toro, like he sort of made like a 1930s horror movie, fairy tale, Cold War story. Alfonso Cuarón with Roma. I didn't like Roma. I didn't get it, but there was a lot of like tracking and pacing shots. So I think Sam Mendes, for what he did with 1917, is incredible. Like the whole film, it's almost like one shot from beginning to end. Like the camera rarely stops moving. There's a whole bunch of tracking shots and long takes and stuff. The story is these two soldiers in World War One. Yes. Are tasked with delivering a message to the front lines that you need to call off this attack. The Germans aren't retreating. They're tricking you. They're going to attack you. So they're going through the terrain. It's almost like a World War One version of Lord of the Rings, where these two guys have to go behind enemy territory and deliver something to the front lines. But yeah, it's incredible. Like I was trying to find where the camera was cutting the whole time. I would love to see like the film like sped up, because it's literally like a roadmap film. It's incredible.
Well, running through bomb craters, etc. Now,
Yeah.
it seems unusual that a war film would be, particularly a 100-year-old theme,
Right.
would be nominated here. What was the last combat film? Heartbreak Ridge? Or no, that goes way
We
back.
had Dunkirk. A few
Dunkirk.
years
There we
ago.
go. Yeah.
And the same year we had Darkest Hour,
Right.
the Winston Churchill film with Gary Oldman,
Yeah.
which was like Dunkirk, but it was all the politics going on
Yeah.
behind Dunkirk.
Right. And
So-
Oldham did win that one. That was quite
Oldman did. He was
fantastic.
Churchill.
He
It was
was
incredible.
Churchill. There's no question about
Yeah,
it.
and then before that we had Hacksaw Ridge about
Yeah,
the soldier.
that's the one I was thinking.
Yeah,
not Heartbreak
yeah,
Ridge,
the soldier
Hacksaw
who
Ridge.
refused to kill or carry a gun, so he was like a medic or reserve.
Right.
So I mean, they definitely save a spot for a war
Yeah,
film.
they still get war films in there.
Yeah.
And the Sniper film too got nominated too.
American
didn't it?
Sniper.
Yeah, American Sniper.
Another Clint Eastwood film.
Yeah. Okay, so Mendes, you think?
Mendes, he's got the Globe, he's got the Directors Guild. The Directors Guild Award has predicted the winner of the Oscar for the past 6 years. The last time they weren't on the same page was in 2012 when they gave it to Ben Affleck for Argo, and the Oscars didn't nominate Ben Affleck that year. So the only person I could see taking this away from Sam Mendes would be Bong Joon-ho, because they both tied at the Critics' Choice, but I don't think the Critics' Choice makes a huge difference. I would love to see it go to Martin Scorsese, personally.
Kind of a retirement movie. It was more or less, the whole movie was more or less a 401k movie, really, with everybody that was in it.
It's like his magnum opus in a way. Like, he's got all his gangster movie themes, and like obviously he's aged and matured as a filmmaker over time. It's a story of maturity, coming of age, dealing with mortality and stuff.
And a 3 hour and 20.
Yeah.
3 hours and 20 minutes.
And that's incredible. Like, it's 3.5 hours long, but it never feels 3.5 hours long to me.
No, because it's a historical piece, and they're
Right.
taking you through the various parts of history.
Yeah, he's tracking this man's life from beginning to end, and I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, if I had to edit this down, what would I cut out?
What would you cut out? Yeah.
I don't think I would cut out anything.
Well,
because
it's a
I think-
long story.
and I think every little piece plays an important part. Like everything, even from when like he's throwing the gun over the river, and it's like there's enough like guns down there to arm a small country.
Yeah,
And then you see that he's not kidding. Like that's one of my favorite moments in the
Yeah,
film.
right. Although he did show his age running over the rocks to get to the
Oh my
river.
God. It's incredible.
Couldn't de-age that.
It looks like a young Robert De Niro, but then when he goes to beat up the shopkeeper for like pushing his daughter, I'm like, there he is.
There he is.
There's
the old
70-something
timer.
Robert De Niro.
That's right. Okay, so let's conclude with a look at the best picture.
Best picture, 9 films as we've discussed here and there.
Yeah.
4
Now, are you surprised by the number? Isn't this the highest
I
number of nominations in a long time?
So for a long time it was just 5
5,
films,
yeah.
and then it went up to 10 films, and then they were like, okay, we can nominate like a minimum of 5 and then as much as we want. And so like ever since that rule changed, it's been like 8, 9, 8, 9, 8, 9, like right in the middle. So I think 9 is fine. I would personally prefer 8. I would prefer 7. Save me some money.
How about 5? Yeah.
5 would be good. I mean, I like giving more opportunities to other films and stuff.
Right, more recognition.
Anyway, sorry,
too,
we
as
went on a
well.
rant there, so I'll go through them.
More recognition for the players.
So we have Ford versus Ferrari, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite.
Okay, so we know all of these with the exception of Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah,
Tell us about that one.
that's my personal favorite.
A Hitler film.
It's a Hitler film. It's a story about a young man, Jojo. He's growing up in World War II Germany. The war is just about to, it's coming towards an end. The Nazis are getting pushed back. He's very, pro-Nazi. He wants to grow up to, serve Hitler. He wants to be part of the Hitler Youth. He doesn't exactly fit well in the Hitler Youth, for lack of a better phrase, summer camp. So he has an imaginary friend who is an exaggerated version of Adolf Hitler, played by the director Taika Waititi.
Okay, here's where the conflict comes in.
Yeah, and so then one night he discovers his mother, Scarlett Johansson, has been hiding a young girl in their house. And so his instinct is immediately to
Rat
report
them
her
out.
to the authorities, but then it's like a weird friendship triangle between Jojo, the girl, and imaginary Hitler, because he knows if he reports this girl to the authorities, his mother's in big trouble.
And so is the girl.
Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting, he sort of decides I'm going to write this little how to handle Jewish people memoir. So he's interviewing the girl on about Jewish people, and she's just messing with him the whole time. She's like, "Oh, well, we can turn invisible at night," and he's fascinating. And the imaginary Hitler's "She's playing you, you know that, right?" But it's a very funny film, but it knows when it's not to be funny.
Not funny,
There's some really heart-wrenching moments. I loved it. It's my favorite film out of the entire 9.
Really? Okay. Well,
Yeah.
Ford versus Ferrari's got a lot of good talk.
Yeah.
We know The Irishman, The Joker, of course, Little Women.
Yeah.
I can't see that winning again because it's a 9th remake.
Yeah.
Well, 1917 is the odds-on favorite at this point, or
I would say
with Parasite.
Yeah, 8 out of 10 Producers Guild winners have won Best Picture, so 1917 definitely has the odds in its favor. Parasite could swoop in, and it could be the first foreign film ever to win Best Picture. It won Best Foreign Language Film. What was amazing to me is it won Outstanding Performance by a Cast at the Screen Actors Guild Awards.
Now, it's in subtitles, too,
It is
right?
in subtitles,
It's in Korean.
yeah.
It already won an Oscar for Best Foreign Film, didn't it? Or is that going to be announced?
It's nominated for Best Foreign Film. I think if it's going to win any Best Picture film, it's going to win that one, hands down. No contest. But there's a lot of support for this film. The cast got a standing ovation at the Screen Actors Guild Award, which I was surprised. I thought this was just, the 9th film that got in. But, there's clearly a lot of support behind it. I could see it, pushing 1917 out and making history as the Best Picture this year. I I don't want to count Once Upon a Time in Hollywood out. It won the Golden Globe for Best Comedy, and I know this Academy, and I know the Academy loves movies about the movies, which is exactly what Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is.
Sure.
So,
Okay, any parting comments, any surprises, any controversial predictions?
oh, there as always, every year there's a lot of snubs, there's a lot of surprises. I think around the board there were a lot of snubs that a lot of people agreed with. Adam Sandler in a film called Uncut Gems. Yes, that Adam Sandler from Big Daddy and Happy Gilmore and stuff. Jennifer Lopez from the film Hustlers. Greta Gerwig for directing Little Women, again, like lack of women representation in the directing category. Awkwafina for The Farewell. Those are the snubs that a lot of people are, upset about. They're not here though. I am, so these are my snubs.
Those are your snubs.
I was really surprised that Robert De Niro didn't get any acting nominations at all for either The Irishman or for his little supporting role in The Joker. I mean, The Joker, as far as we talked about The Irishman, I mean, he plays this guy from beginning to end.
He does, but he's basically playing Robert De Niro. I mean, there's no difference in that character from
any other character.
Yeah, right.
Where he's making the De Niro face.
Yeah.
Okay. And obviously
he didn't step outside of his strength.
That's true. I can see that, and he's definitely not the most standout performance in that film, and that was Pesci and Pacino, who did get nominations.
Well, I thought Romano had a standout performance.
Ray Romano
too.
was great.
Talking about stepping out of his regular character role. I mean,
absolutely.
He was outstanding in that.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
I mean, Jojo Rabbit, again, that was my favorite film. I really wanted to see it get more nominations. I thought the writer-director Taika Waititi did a great job. He's a very, he can do comedy, but he can do very serious. And with some of his previous films, I've noticed, he'll follow a very serious, dramatic moment and immediately undercut it with a joke and just ruin the moment. This film, I saw a lot more strength and maturity. And I just thought it was a very nice film for the time, where it's where do we learn our hate from? Where do we learn our prejudice from? And how do we shape ourselves in the communities that we live in? And it was, I don't want to say it was a feel-good film, because there was definitely a lot of moments where you're very sad and uncomfortable. But you're not leaving the film oh God, why did I see that?
It's
a very nice film.
Holocaust type movie.
Yeah, it's a different type of Holocaust movie, because it's being told from the perspective of a 9-year-old. And he was, for the film to rely on a 9-year-old, and this was his first acting gig. I mean, he did incredible, playing alongside Scarlett Johansson and Sam Rockwell, another person I thought should have gotten nominated.
Yeah, well, Rockwell's come quite a ways.
Rockwell's great. I mean, it's a very comic. He's the captain of the organization that runs the Hitler Youth and stuff. But normally in movies, Nazis are characterized as just naturally evil or buffoons, and he was more human. They made the Nazis human, for lack of better phrase. I know that sounds bad, but you definitely sympathize with his character and his relationship with little Jojo and stuff. It was nice.
Quite a different part for him than Guy Fleegman.
Oh yeah, or
Galaxy Quest.
Yeah, you remember 3 Billboards from when he was the sheriff that was incredibly violent, incredibly racist. Yeah. So it's a little different from that, but yeah, he's such a diverse actor. I love him.
Well, he was in that other thing with the Hilton girl, does the Hilton ads, where the red clown knows where he was an assassin.
Oh.
What the heck was the name of that one? Oh, that was a pretty good film, too.
Yeah. I was 7 Psychopaths. I know he's in that.
Again, why waste video time?
That's true.
With me trying to remember that far back.
That's true. And then Rocket Man. I love Rocket Man. It's the biopic about Elton John and stuff. And it's, not to hark on what happened last year, I think it's such a better film than Bohemian Rhapsody. And it just aggravates me that Bohemian Rhapsody got all these nominations, but Rocket Man didn't. And Taron Egerton, who played Elton John, I thought he was incredible. He was singing, he was acting. That's not to crap on Bohemian Rhapsody, but Rami Malek wasn't doing Freddie Mercury, but Taron Egerton was singing everything.
Elton John.
Yeah, he was a tour de force. And the film is a very emotional story about Elton John. I never knew how much he went through, but it was nice. And I'll die on this hill, and I'm sorry, but I'm surprised that nothing came from Avengers Endgame.
Which is Avengers what, 5?
Avengers 4.
4.
You know, we nominated Return of the King.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, highest grossing film of all time. That's got to be worth something.
Is that number 4 is the highest grossing film?
Number
of
4 is
all
the highest
time?
grossing film of all time. It's the 22nd film in the series, concluding a story that began 10 years ago with the first Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man film. I mean, I think it's a cinematic achievement.
How much did it gross actually?
$2.80 billion.
2.8, and it's still not finished with the foreign and
I think
and the subscriptions.
Oh yeah, it's still on Disney Plus and
Yeah,
everything.
sure.
So yeah, it's still going strong. But
Okay, well, that wraps it up. I'm Phil Gallagher. Our entertainment reporter is Chris Flaherty, and we'll see how his predictions, whether or not they come true. Thank you for joining us.